Okay, so welcome to this webinar on NetSuite 2014.2 new features. I'm not going to cover every new feature in the new version, but I'll be covering some key ones and some of which I'll be demonstrating as well. So we're going to be looking at some aspects of a new user interface, purchase requisitions, the new iPhone app, some improvements to email campaign management, the new graphical editor for workflows, time record CSV imports, and more flexible aging reports. So let's start with the new user interface. And sorry about that. All accounts should now have been upgraded by now, so you would have experienced the obvious changes. Things like the global search moving to a central position, and field labels on forms may now be positioned above each field instead of to the left. And of course there's a new sort of look and feel along with the use of a larger font. So incidentally, if you find this new font too large, NetSuite do recommend adjusting your browser zoom. So as well as those, there are some less obvious changes, and I'm just going to concentrate on these. So I'm just going to switch to NetSuite now. So firstly, the Create New bar. If you've wondered where this has gone, it has moved to an icon next to the help icon in the page header, and it is now shown on all pages. Okay, also for longer menus such as the reports menu, these now have scrolling arrows to help navigate them, and it also applies to submenus. Scroll up and down. On to dashboards, we now have dashboard layout types. So from this layout link, you now have the facility to choose your layout. And for smaller screens and tablets, NetSuite do recommend a 2-column layout rather than a 3-column. Sticking with dashboards for a moment, to expand and collapse dashboard portlets, we now simply click on the portlet header, expand and collapse. And now action icons such as this sort of setup, remove action on portlets, now only appear as the mouse is moved over the portlet. And likewise for these KPI action icons such as sort of refresh and the trend graphs, again they only appear on mouse over. And this is to aid NetSuite's new sort of cleaner look and feel. So moving away from dashboards onto list views, I'm just going to open up the sales order list view. So exporting lists is now done by icons at the top of the list. So we have icons for export as CSV, Excel, and export as PDF, along with a print icon. Okay, so on to record pages, such as a sales order. Again, some action buttons or icons are now revealed when we move the mouse to the right place. Things such as this new or open action icons against the customer field on this sales order, and the select date icon against date fields. Buttons to move back to the previous record or on to the next record are now over on the right hand side at the top. and scrolling down, sublists within a record, such as this item sublist, now scroll separately horizontally to the rest of the record. Okay. That's probably enough on the new UI. So let's take a look at purchase requisitions. The ability to enter a purchase request has been available for some time in NetSuite, but that's always insisted on the user selecting a vendor in order to save that request. So an employee may not know which vendor to use, and that may be decided by your purchasing department, for example. So with requisitions, the employee just needs to enter the items required or the items they want to purchase. And we're going to have a look at this as well. I switch to the sort of employee center, and we can enter requisitions from this employee center dashboard. Normal users can also enter requisitions. So on the enter requisition page, there's various optional fields, but really as a minimum the employee would add the items that they want to purchase. So I'm going to create a new requisition here for an iPad that I want. So I'll select the item and I can put in an optional estimated rate if I want to. And really that's all I need to do. So I'm just going to save this record. Requisitions can have an approval process, and this one is pending approval. So if I switch to log on as an approver and look at the list of requisitions, so here's the new requisition that's just been created pending approval. And I can view that requisition. And when I view it, I can decide to approve it or reject it. I'm going to approve this one. Now, once approved, that requisition can be turned into a purchase order. So we can click on this Create Purchase Order button. And at this point, when I'm sort of creating the purchase order, I would select the vendor and I can obviously edit the rates, the item rates, etc. before saving. Okay, an alternative way to order the items on requisitions is via an order requisitions page. And on this page it lists all the items that are on authorized requisitions, and I can select the vendor I want to use per item. And where I've used the same vendor for multiple items, these items can be consolidated onto a single purchase order, and that is all depending on a configuration setting for the requisitions. Okay. The next topic we're going to look at is the new iPhone app version 3. I can actually demonstrate this topic over the webinar, but I will talk a bit about these key new features on the app. So first we've got activity logging. So this allows users of any iOS compatible device to create activities against records in NetSuite. So all those options you have available under the Activities tab on a record in NetSuite are now available on your iPhone. So that's creating new tasks, logging events, maybe an event that's just occurred, and that can now be done via the new app. Okay, auto call logging means that you're now able to make a call through the NetSuite app, so engaging your phone via the NetSuite app on the iPhone, and at the end of a call you'll be prompted to log that call in NetSuite. And because the call's been made through the app, all the details of that call are stored by the app, meaning if you do log it, all the required fields are pre-populated, and that makes it very quick and easy. Time zone synchronization. This is for those jet setters. The app can now compare the time zone localization on your iPhone to the time zone localization in your NetSuite account, and this can really help by displaying local times for your calendar events. Okay, so support for summary safe searches. This may be of interest to some of you. I think it's a great enhancement. So previously summary search results were not supported on the iPhone app, but now they are, and this can really help users to see key summarized figures on the app dashboard, for example. Last but not least, on the iPhone app, the expense receipt logging feature really increases the employees' ease of creating their expense reports via the app. So new expense reports can be created via the app, and during entry the phone's camera can be activated to take a picture of the receipt. But there's a new receipt log facility that's been added. So this is a list of your receipts that you may have logged during the month, and then you can select them to quickly generate or create a new expense report from those selected receipts. Okay, next topic is enhancements to email campaign management. And the first new feature here is new marketing email templates. Email templates are provided for us to help start the design really, and then they can be easily customized to your requirements. So we're going to have a quick look at this. Put back to NetSuite and create a new marketing template. Campaign type. So we're given now a choice of layout templates, and once we've chosen one, the one we want, it's pretty easy for us to customize this template. So here's a template. We can just edit the text, pop in some images before saving our template. It does make it very nice and easy. Okay. The other campaign new feature relates to click-through rates for individual links. So previously the only feedback regarding click-through rates was if the recipient had clicked any of your links in the marketing email. But now there's a new click-through report to show specific links that recipients have clicked on, giving you metrics on which links have been of the most interest. moving on, so next topic is the new workflow editor, the graphical workflow editor. So for those of you who have used the old workflow editor, you'll know that it wasn't the friendliest of interfaces. So NetSuite have completely redesigned this interface to allow you to model the workflow visually, or much easier visually. And they've improved the whole kind of layout of the interface with a side panel to view important information about the workflow element you've got selected. So we're going to have a look at this as well. But back to NetSuite. Customization, scripting workflows. So we've got a workflow that I'm working on at the moment. It's an approval workflow for a transaction, and it's quite simple at the moment, but maybe I want to enhance it to introduce a second level of approval. So like I said, this interface allows dragging and dropping. I've got my second stage approval state here ready, so I can drag that around. And then I can link this new state in by simply dragging a connection to it and then dragging it on to the next state. These connections I've just created are state transitions, and they will need to be fully configured. At the moment we've just said what state it's moving on to. So to do the full configuration, we have, like I said earlier, this sidebar on the right-hand side, which at the moment a transition is selected, so it's giving me information or key information about the transition, and it gives me an edit icon here to open the full property set window. Or I could double-click the element in the design pane, and that would also bring up the full property set. This sidebar also gives us a really good view of any actions we may have created against the state, and it groups them according to the trigger type. So here on the approved state, I've got a state entry trigger event or action, and I've got a record submit trigger action as well. Okay, so that's a good summary of the workflow editor. So next topic. The new record available to CSV imports is timesheets. So it's now possible to import new time records and update existing time records using the CSV import functionality. I see two major benefits of this. The first being for users who are traveling or otherwise offline. They may track their hours in any sort of CSV capable editor or Excel, for example, and then import them into NetSuite later. And the other major benefit really is where you may have an external time logging system but wish to quickly integrate it with NetSuite by importing those employees' timesheets. Okay, the last new feature we're covering in this webinar is the enhanced options for aging reports. Many aging reports are run sort of in a 30-day increments, but what if you want to age by week, calendar month, or financial period, or even what if you want to have variable length aging periods? So now on the AP and AR aging reports, there are options to let us run the reports with aging periods we want. And we're going to have a look at this as well. So back into NetSuite, I'll open an aging report. So now at the bottom of the aging reports we have an aging options button. It opens up a little window where we can configure how we want this report to age. So firstly we can quickly switch between aging by transaction date or due date, and then there's an age as of option as well. But the key features here are in the bottom section of this little window. We have the ability to select the time period. For example, I may want 3 aging periods which are fortnightly. So I can set these settings to give us 3 bands by length of 2 weeks each. Or I might want 4 aging periods, and I might want to age by calendar month. So I can change the bands to 4 bands by 1 month. So calendar month, 4 bands, 1 month each. Okay, well what about if I want those variable length periods? So then I can choose this irregular option, and then I enter the bands that I want. So for example, I might want first 2 columns on my aging report to be 30 days each, and then I might want to analyse by an additional 2 15-day periods. So I can do this by adding the number of aging periods I want and specifying the length of them. So I'll set this first band to 30 days, and then add a second band, again that's 30 days, and then 2 more at 15 days each. So now when I click OK to that and refresh the report, it's going to show me these aging periods. So here we see the first column being 30 days, the second being another 30 days, so that's 60 days, and then 2 15-day periods. And this makes the aging on these reports really, really flexible. Okay. So that's all the topics I'm covering today, but you can find out about all of the new features in version 2014.2 by going to the new release portlet on your dashboard. The new release portlet can be added, or it may be already there, on your home dashboard or the support dashboard in NetSuite. I've got mine on my support dashboard. This is the new release portlet. So on the portlet you'll find a sneak peeks link, and that'll give you an overview of the new features. There's a release notes link there, and that takes you to a full PDF of all the new features. And there's also some links to some resources and some training videos as well. Okay, so just to say thank you for attending today, and if you do have any questions, you can please contact my colleague Lucy, who will be happy to get your questions answered. So thank you very much.